Buckle up. It's the Insurance Dudes Podcast.
And here's another thing I would add too. I don't know in your world how much underwriters play a part in some of this stuff, but with me, you can answer that. Go ahead.
They do.
Yeah.
So when you're proactive like that, asking for business and kind of being in people's faces and having, I just want to help, being a little bit, you don't have to be overzealous or cheesy or anything like that. But if you're not asking for referrals or asking somebody how I can help one of your clients, that stuff is super, that's what people remember. And to me, if I'm sitting interviewing an insurance person or in any other industry, I want to know if this person's got teeth, because what I'm hiring you for is one thing, not to fill out the freaking application. I don't care about that application. Anybody can.
Anybody can fill.
I need you to fight for me. That's what I do as a broker. I just freaking got on the phone while I was a little bit late, which I'm sorry about. I've had this loan dragging on that's a refinance. Normally those things, especially this clean file, would take 3 weeks. And this COVID client with the rate. Oh, hi. It's basically 60 days in now, and it's been pinging back and forth. I just get on the phone, and that's the value that a client's going to want out of a good mortgage broker. That's not going to sit and just wait for things to happen and paychecks to come in. Work for it, right? So if you're working for it on the front with a little bit of couth and being, a little bit savvy and, showing people you care, you don't only care on the front end, you can easily care with where the rubber meets the road with what service you actually provide. So that's a big one. People, I think, they won't necessarily say it, but subliminally, that's exactly what's happening.
It goes back to just being human, like just help someone out, like, right? Just help each other out, which is amazing for anybody that can't see it. That's a pergola, right? I was just going to throw that out there, but that's so cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. And he built these stairs over here too. I don't know if you can see.
Look at that guy.
I got it there. But yeah.
Well, cool. Does anybody have questions? I don't know if anything's coming in on the Facebook feed.
We got one on the Facebook. So again, put some questions in the Facebooks. We have Jeremy. He's new to the business, 0 loan officers right now, but he's working on it. He wants to know, do loan officers expect to deal with the agency directly, or does that connection, that bond, work well with staff and office managers, or is that a hard connection to make?
You're not going to get probably a ton of time from, so staff is fine. So the staff would come into play with getting them something that they need, right? So there's like mortgagee clauses that we need, or certain things like that need to actually happen. There's a lot slower moving parts in the refinance or purchase process than insurance. So it's usually not much of an issue. Where the most impact would be is whoever holds control over where they could possibly get their next deal or referral. So it would be the actual agent itself rather than the agency. So that's probably the best way to answer that.
Gotcha. Cool. So, I mean, I guess it would, if that individual staff member was shooting over business, it could happen on that level, but it would have to be more of that kind of bond.
Yeah. If we get a call from a customer saying, hey, so-and-so, I don't care who it is, referred me to you. There we go. Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who it is at that point. But so I mean, I guess when we're calling, it probably depends on how the business is set up. So if my example earlier, if I'm calling for a declarations page, who's actually answering that phone, right? So if it's an assistant or something like that, and somebody else is fielding those calls, that's probably as far as that conversation is going to go. But if it's you guys as the agent, there's an opportunity to jump on that. Yeah, I'll send this over to you. Hey, what do you do if you need, to send somebody else my way for other insurance quotes? Do you do that? Because I can save them money just like you guys are, type of thing, right? So.
Yep. So you probably want to put somebody who has a freaking great personality to be the one to connect. So make sure that you don't just send Sally that's pushing papers over
What's wrong with Sally?
talk. Well, yeah, I don't know, man. If she's just pushing papers, not saying, "Hey, how's your day, man? You got a daughter? No way. Is she in soccer?"
Sally never says that.
Well,
yeah, absolutely. And probably it doesn't really matter necessarily how it gets done as long as the thing gets done, but you definitely want to be able to stack it, right? And have some kind of opportunity on it. Love it.
Love it. What were some of the things, I mean, through your experience throughout your years, what were some of the best pieces of advice that you got that kind of took your business to the next level?
Always ask for referrals, no matter what. Strategically too, right? So when you're giving people good news, bam, there's your opportunity, right? So at the beginning of the process, when you still haven't proven yourself, but somehow, like in my point, when the appraisal comes in, hey, great news, appraisal came in higher. I know you're getting a little cash out. I can get you an extra 10,000. Hey, do you know anybody else that might be maybe a little bit cooler than that? But I mean, that really is it. And then honestly, just always picking up the phone. Work, that's a big one for me, is if you're too busy as a front end, let's just call it salesperson. If you're too busy to pick up the phone for whatever reason, you're not aligned properly with your support staff. You shouldn't ever turn down the front end. The front end's always the most important. It took me a while to understand that, actually.
Yeah. It's a numbers game.
Yep.
I mean, and we know it, I think, probably better than a lot of people because of like our transactions are so micro and what comes out the back and what we get paid that it is a huge funnel that we have to have, right? So, we close a household, it's $200 for the year. We got to pay the lights, pay the staff, pay everybody. When we don't make money until the third renewal. So we have to get a ton of business in the door. What kind of things do loan officers do? Like, do you guys have telemarketers? Do you, what do you do to drive new business acquisition?
Yeah. So that's, so Loan Depot, let me just speak for that. So totally different business model I'm on now. I've lived in the city of Mission Viejo for 14 years. Right now, I'm like 100% just referral, just because people have known me over the years, and that's where I'm at right now personally. That's not to say I'm completely set up to scale. I'm actually getting some my cousin licensed up and some people just for the opportunity because so I'll take that back. So in a call center where we were at Loan Depot and like Quicken Loans, their telemarketing is like a $10 to $20 million a month budget. It's crazy. And it's just warm them up, and then get them to the licensed professional. It seems like social media is a big player right now. That's something that seems because that almost does automatic follow-up for you with a lot of this kind of stuff. But there's a lot of ways to do this. I know you guys probably do a better job of it than I do at the moment, just because I rely on my 19 years of experience and just more community based right now. But
how does a new loan officer, when they come in, what are they doing? Because they have to pick up the phone, like you said, right?
So go out and create those relationships. So it's real estate agents, it is tax professionals, it is financial planners. For example, I have a loan now for a retired gentleman that he's not going to qualify unless he's been collecting Social Security. He's got a bunch of money in the bank, doesn't need to pull, but has a $500,000 IRA that he can tap into at any time. I have to actually have him tap into it to make my debt ratio work. So I have to call his financial planner, tell him, hey, I need your financial planner to set up an automatic disbursement for $5,000 a month so I can make this loan happen. And then as soon as it's done, whatever you do is fine, right? Let's get to underwriting. But I then get a letter from this financial planner, and there's a brand new relationship. I could have looked at it through the narrow lens and said, great, I got my file done here. Or that guy's now on my list. Hey, let me give you a few examples of what I do for financial planners and how much value I can bring to your business. I have templated out items that I just shoot over to them, including some calculators that get really in the weeds. I don't need to bore you with it, but just high level with that is, if people are pulling money out to go buy a house, that means that financial planner is not making the money because they're pulling the money from there and putting it into a home. I have some crazy tools that I didn't build that I paid for that can show annual rate of return. And hey, let's not take this out. Let's get a mortgage instead of paying cash for this house. Let's get a mortgage, only put 20% down, leave that other 80% that they would have taken out to leave it with you. And I'll show them on this calculator the tax implications and all this kind of stuff on my mortgage side. And then it's easy. You just give me an annual rate of return. I plug that in, and then you see a net. It makes sense to actually have a loan instead of pay something free and clear.
Ooh,
interest on the money.
That's huge.
It gets crazy. I can get really nerdy with that stuff, but yeah. So it's all about value that you're going to bring to your audience that's in front of you. That could be a referral source like that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So really, I mean, from an insurance agent's perspective, really having that whole team, like helping build those relationships between like let's say you and a tax professional, or I don't know, building those relationships can also put your foot in the door. What are some creative ways that you've seen loan officers kind of go through and build those teams, build those?
That's a good question, Jason. You just reminded me of something. So you guys all know, it's, what do they call it? Where you get into a group, it's not Teamster. What am I thinking of? Not Teamsters. That's like union stuff.
The BNI or something like that.
Yeah, it's like a community base. It's kind of, it's almost like Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Chamber of Commerce, right?
Yeah.
And Toastmasters, I think that's what I was thinking about. Toastmasters, probably something your grandparents would have done back at the Elks Club or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you go in. So the best way to do it is you get a team. So let's just say there's 5 people, and then you're the nucleus here, right? So you as an insurance agent, or I'll just say as a mortgage broker, I need a realtor. I need probably two or three good realtor referrals. I need 2 or 3 good financial planners. I need 2 or 3 good insurance people, because let's be honest, people get sick, and it's always good to have a little bit of competition with keeping everybody a little bit sharp, because hey, we can do this, but it's not so bad if you know that I have a plan B with somebody else, right? That if you get caught slipping, because I provide value, I expect it to be reciprocated. And if it's not, I'm not going to be caught with my pants down, right? So, and I'm going to go to the next person that can help me out. So, really, moms and just people in the community, or just small business owners, right? Just anybody can give you referrals. But for me, the biggest ones would probably be insurance, which I have not capitalized on enough. Financial planners, tax professionals, real estate agents, that from a professional level. And then I think just some really good cheerleaders in the community as well. Everybody needs insurance. Everybody's looking for that. And I know there's a lot of like books. I read this book called Raving Fans, I remember. And that one I highly recommend. It's basically everybody you come into contact with. Doesn't have to be, it's really awkward for some you meet somebody to just be like, hey, this is what I do.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And, so you got to kind of ease your way into that, but you get people drinking your Kool-Aid, right? I mean,
Jeff, I think he froze.
Oh, he drank the Kool-Aid.
He
froze.
The Kool-Aid.
You can't drink the Kool-Aid right on the air. I mean, this is live.
And the point guard of the quarterback with all these folks.
Oh, you're back. You cut out there for a minute.
Right after you drank the Kool-Aid.
That's where we lost you.
Oh, the Kool-Aid?
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. But no, quarterbacking. So if you were a quarterback or point guard, that with all these people, and just maybe make it about, I don't know if you need to do a Zoom or just kind of get everybody together, you can open some eyes, and a lot of people would be really grateful that you opened up this referral like network, I guess, right? within a
Yeah.
small area. And you might get some friends out of it, golf buddies or something. You never know. Take their money on the course. I don't know.
Love it. Great advice. Great advice. Craig, are you there?
I'm here. I'm just, it's so much good stuff. And I love it. I'm at a loss for words.
Yeah. So my question is, what would be the, if you could go back to your younger years, what would be the number one piece of advice you would give yourself after 19 years in the business to get you where you're at now? What would be that?
Fake it until you make it.
Love it.
100%.
Expand a little bit on that. Fake what until you
So,
make it?
Butterflies, like getting up to plate little league. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
there's bases loaded, 2 outs. Same thing when you get into a new industry. It's important to make sure that you get thorough with your training and really wrap your head around it. But I've seen more often than not with people, pressure. Here's more cliches. I think this is Billie Jean King. Pressure is a privilege. Pressure is a privilege. Adversity is the only way to really grow. So if you have to almost trick yourself into thinking that this fear as a defense mechanism for us humans gets in the way of a lot of us reaching our potential. And if you don't embrace that, that's actually a leg up for the people that can actually overcome that and get out there and fake it until you make it. How many people aren't doing that? How many people got stalled because
80%? It's 80-20, right? You got to go.
And then the worst thing you can do is not communicate and just go into your little cave, admit your failures. Hey, you know what? Absolutely. This is what I'm going to do to make up for this. But you have to go through life with not life. I'm not talking about life. I'm just talking about jobs here. Your feet steady on the floor. Every step, you'll get knocked off balance every once in a while. That does not mean you can't. We've all gotten back up. Get back up. And at the end of the night, realize that was a privilege because you just learned from that.
Yeah.
Yep. You'll never look back.
Yeah.
You'll never look back and say, man, I wish I wouldn't have taken that leap. Oh, I wish I wouldn't have felt awkward that day. But you will look back and look at the opportunity that you had and that you missed out on it because you were too scared. That'll never leave you.
Yeah.
I love that.
You got to get uncomfortable. You got to get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, even scaling the agency, right? The new agency for me, when we're 2 months in and spend probably 40K on leads and telemarketers and just the whole thing. And I'm like, we got nothing, I'm like, I don't feel good about this. And then, Jason talked me off the ledge and I'm like, all right, more fine. And then all of a sudden it started working. But the numbers don't lie. That's the thing, eventually it's going to come together if you keep doing the right activity and it's going to happen, so unless you're just a total dud. Luckily I'm just above a total dud. So I was able to pull through. So.
And so this was for the podcast. So as we sign out of the podcast, we'll stay in the elite group. But Jeff, for anybody that wants to get a hold of your business, this is where to plug everything that you got going on.
Absolutely. So I'm a mortgage broker in the entire state of California. I have referral sources. Like I said, where I was prior, if you need anything done, I can kick you over to any of my loan officers that used to work with me at Loan Depot. Purchase, refinance, pre-qualification, anything like that. I'm happy to follow it up with my actual signature with all the details, but my cell phone, that's the most important thing, is the cell phone's always on my hip and I always answer it. The phone number is 949-892-0355. Text message.
Should start ringing right now.
Yeah, start ringing now.
Now.
Hopefully you guys don't hear my ringtone. It's kind of cheesy.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so much. So much value.
Yeah. And with that relationship with Loan Depot, if you could have them add to the application anytime that it gets submitted in Arizona, just to kick it over to my agency, that'd be great.
Actually, I do know quite a few guys in Arizona.
Ooh.
Well, I have your number.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, cool. Thank you, Jeff. Really appreciate it. And we're going to sign off this thing.
All right.
Well,
go get them.
We'll stay on, but
we're signing off and staying on.
Yeah.
Bye.
It's the insurance dudes. Don't turn it off, man. That'd really be rude. We're dropping knowledge on the radio, so just turn it up.
So we put together a little webinar from all the things that we've learned, right?
Yeah, totally. I love it. It was a lot of fun doing it, putting it together, and there's some really good stuff in there.
Yes.
What did we learn?
So what did we learned how to sell hundreds of thousands of premium a month using any internet leads, and this is based on a whole bunch of big dudes selling ton of premium a month, like over $1 million.
Yeah, and it eliminates that turnover, right? The staff doesn't get burned out.
It does. It creates predictable sales. Like, whoa, right?
Well, and we also learned how we can copy the processes of the big, giant, fastest growing P&C carriers and the big local agents.
Yep.
That was a lot of fun.
So it was fun. We put it together. It's on a website. Go to love.teledudes.com. That's LOVE.TELEDUDES.com.
How do you spell like that on the fly, Mr. Jason?
Well, it took me some practice, but it's love.teledudes.com.
You are good at that. So let me get this straight. It's love, LOVE .teledudes.com.
Love.teledudes.com. Ooh.
I love that.
I love it too. I surprised you too, Mr. Craig. You didn't know.
Tricked me.
Wait, do they even listen to this on the radio anymore?
I love it. I love it.
Nice.
All right.